a video game, it's like very like you just like because I know you're a person of wanting to play like a lot of video games, you know, like I like to play like maybe one I don't know. I like playing one video game, but I know what you mean. But you have a lot of video games. You have more video games than you'll probably ever get to play. So your games just get backlogged, right?
Yeah, it just becomes like a backlog of small gamers because they think to themselves like, oh yeah, I got a backlog, I got stuff to play, I'll get to it, and they never do, and then you can never really admit to yourself that you're like,
Yeah.
is it a backlog or is it a bunch of forgotten things from yesteryear?
Yeah, it's like you're like, oh, I'll get to that, and then just never do. That happens with me all the time. Like, I was I was playing Rocket League, you know, and or not Rocket League, fuck, like BioShock, like I want to get to it, but I'm playing fucking Warframe or fucking Minecraft. I'm just like, cause I'm more interested in those games, you know. It's like, even though like it might be the best game ever, you know, like story wise, it's just The Witcher. Like I never really got into that till I played it, but when I played it, it was one of the greatest games I've ever played.
Yeah, and then it's like a lot of games you're not gonna figure that out unless you're willing to live in their universes for a long, long time. But then when every other game is trying to get you to live with them, it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to understand or really experience any of these anymore? When it's like,
How are
games
you?
nowadays, when you beat them, they begin. Like Red Dead Redemption 2, when I beat that, it was like, go back and do all this stuff and look at all this stuff you
Like
unlocked. And look at all this
Minecraft, you
stuff you
kill
got
the
now,
Ender Dragon.
missions upon content upon, and you're like, I gotta get to the next game that came out. I gotta get to the next.
Yeah, like in Minecraft, if you kill the Ender Dragon, that's when the game begins. That's when you can do big fucking mechanical farms. That's when you can easy shit. That's when you can fly around with an elytra. That's when you can do end raids. That's when you can do like anything, man. It's fucking insane. It's the same thing with GTA. Like you beat the game, and then it's like there's shit you can do that you like wanted to do the whole time. Like you get all this money, then you can just start with like all this shit.
Yeah, it's like I wish I could just sometimes be only into one game, but it's like I understand there's so much stuff out there in video games. There's so many different varied aspects and genres, but there's no way to get to them all. And then it's like you just feel like when I'm just walking back and forth on my fucking orbiter in Warframe, my brain is almost just like, what are you doing? You have so many fucking games you need to.
But you're just walking back and
Yeah,
forth.
and I'm like bored out of my goddamn mind. And I'm like, you know, I really do kind of wish I was immersed in something right now. And it's like, it's weird too. It's like sometimes I don't even want to sit down and play a game. It's like you have all these games, you have more games than you had when you were a kid, and then you just don't feel like playing a game. Like you can't. There's certain games where they're so epic, there's so fucking much content that you're just
immersive
like you're like, man, do I want to get into this right now? Like, man, like you were probably like that with The Witcher. You know what I mean? Like how long it took you to finally try it out, and you were just like.
Yeah, but then when I got into it, I fell in love with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, this is the goddamn game to fucking... of games, you know, like... Oh, no, yeah, no, fucking... I don't know, man, I love playing, like... I would play in every game, man, but it's like, you can only play so many, because you can't play every game out there.
Yeah, that's what
you
I
gotta
started
work,
to tell
you gotta...
myself is like, why would I ever go back and play things that I've played a million, like 100 times over? Because
I don't know, a lot of people, like, I was talking to someone...
There's so many different experiences. You're only gonna play so many games before you die.
Yeah, like, there was someone that explained it to me. He's like, that's the, like getting, oh my, hold up, I gotta mute this guy. So there was someone that was explaining it to me, like the games that want to keep you in forever, the games that want to keep you, like those are the games. Yes, like those are the games he plays, is because he sees that big number that virtual big number, and he just wants to work really hard for that number, which I never really got, because he says the kid's perspective, or the child's perspective of looking at it, is like very like the easy route, but when it comes to gaming, I don't really think that counts, because there's only so much you can do. And
I
like
used to think about that when I was much more of like, when I didn't have a fucking job, probably why, when I was like, I'm a hardcore gamer, man, these filthy casuals, like, why would you ever play a game on easy? It's like,
because
I work fucking 95
and you'll
hours,
die.
80 hours a week, and I come home and I don't want to just spend the time like, yeah, I'm dead, fucking dead, oh, I'm dead, oh, I just got my dick ripped off, I'm dead, I'm dead, having such a great time, I'm fucking dead. Oh, and now I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
It's like, why would you ever want to turn, like, what I don't like so much about gamers and why I
Is that
we
they
wanna go
treat
away
them
from
like
this thing. Yeah, they treat it like it's again, it's this.
they treat them like they're supposed to be grinders, when really, like, I remember back, I think my favorite time of gaming was the
Grinding makes me
PlayStation
wanna
2.
blow my brains out. Like, I fucking hate it.
I think PlayStation 2 is now like as much as I love the games now, I think PlayStation 2 there was a simplicity of just starting the game, you know, like playing the game for your first time, trying new games out.
Yeah, it's
like
another thing that I'll always kind of breaks my heart, that if you really think about it, Warframe can only exist in the way that it does as a free-to-play game because everyone else said no, they turned their nose up at it, and the industry was like, you will not be a thing. And so they let the free-to-play space create it. But years ago, if Warframe had come out on the GameCube or the original Xbox or the PS2 or freaking
it probably
Wii,
would have.
it would have been an amazing game, and all you would have been able to do is turn it on and
Just
go do
play
some
it.
missions, go get yourself a thing, go turn it on, go, yeah, like after a while, like your gameplay in Warframe and a lot of free-to-play games just becomes a fucking job. Like, where you literally, like, when I think about the Plains of Eidolon or any like Orb Valis or any of that shit, you just show up, you literally, just like I show up to my job every day, turn the game on, show up, you fly over to the Plains of Eidolon, you report to Konzu, you basically clock in, you do the same, like, the exact same missions, the exact same run bounties, and kill this guy,
Yeah,
loot these
it's
things,
just
pick up these
repetitive.
things. If you really look at what they're asking you to do, if you really just look at the base verb of what it says, it's just like, kill, pick up, find, grab, loot. Like, it's the same 15-minute loop that you do over and over, but it's masked with these different objectives, these different varying items
Bonuses
of gameplay, but really it's the same thing out
items
there. Like,
and
you ask yourself, like, I am literally doing the fucking job.
yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, and they just treat them like filth. When it used to just be like, you just plug in a game, and you'd play the fucking game, and you're done with the game. And then you're on to the next
Yeah.
one, or
And they
maybe
would
the
make their
game
next
was
game. They
so
would use the
fucking
game-
good, yeah, like,
The money
and
that you put in for that game, they'd use it to make the next one. Now they're like, well, we don't ever need to make another one because you are going to play this one forever. But when every game becomes like, you're going to play us forever, it's like, am I ever going to have a meaningful experience again where it's like the credits wrap, the game wraps, and you have a succinct journey that you just went on from beginning, middle to end, rather than like a fucking
Are you living out a story,
gameplay,
or
and
you
eventually you either your house gets burned down or some faggot steals your shit or you sell the console because the next best thing comes out, or and it all just becomes data in the ether, like data on a cloud. Like, you're not going, no matter how much I love Warframe, I'm not gonna play it until I die. There's no fucking way you can.
it's like you'd rather die than like,
There are so many other fucking games. There are so many other, like, I wish that-
there are games 10 times better than, let's say, Warframe, and it's like, but you'll never
Oh,
play them.
there's- Yeah, man, there's so many things out there where it's like, when you're wasting your time on these games that, like,
Just
one
because
game
you
that
can
wants
play
you to
them
just
for a
be-
while, but also the other reason why games like these appeal to people is because not everybody has $60 they can spend up the ass. Which is very where it's the fine line, you know? It's like Fortnite, you know? When that was going around, it's a free game that every kid in their mind could play like a fucking game with guns, kids fucking basically fucking nutting and jerking off to that shit. Like, oh, I can now shoot people and I don't need to tell my mom, you know? Because remember when you were a kid and you're like, Dad, could you buy me a braided, no, because it's free and you can just go and fucking, you know? That's the reason why, like,
but they don't have the parental controls on.
Yeah, it's like, it's your own. Yeah, and it's like, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe, I don't think it's good. Oh my fucking god. Why does everybody keep joining this fucking party? It's
and the medium of gaming in general. It's the beginning of games as a service and games as basically just what they want it to be, is like Dish or Netflix, or like they don't want to make a thing anymore where they're gonna make a story or a journey or a game that's like, can you believe that they built this entire universe and just let you loose in it? It was like, no, they built a map, they've got a graphics engine, and then you and your friends are the game. You and your friends are the ethos.
Yeah, but it's like, you don't even create, like, mods and stuff like Skyrim. Like, that game is still alive to this day and will never die because of mods. I don't know, I feel like the creator should create the game sometimes, but it's also...
Yeah, that's the whole thing. It's like, I don't pay, it's like, I'm not a game designer. I'm not paying you guys $60 to then buy a game and be like, alright, have at it, and if you don't have friends, it's gonna be even more boring. It's like,
yeah.
They are
like,
innovative, artistic.
And the problem
like,
with playing with friends and shit is that they want to play a different way than you.
Yeah, and the most thing about multiplayer is that there's really not even much co-op anymore. It's just killing each other.
Yeah, it's just killing, but there's no, like, I remember Portal 2. That was probably my all-time favorite co-op game as far as co-ops go, because in Portal 2 it wasn't all the fucking bullshit of like, oh, like, that was a straight up co-op game. Like, you'd need the other person, you know? Like, a lot of multiplayer games, you don't need that person. You just go in, shoot up some shit, and there's no dynamicness in the multiplayer. Which is the one thing I don't like about a lot of multiplayer games right now. Is because it's a
multiplayer and co-op fell way by the wayside as everything changed. Same with split screen. Most games don't even have split screen anymore.
Yeah, they don't even have. Oh yeah, that is true. You know, that's actually kind of funny because I almost forgot about split screen with a lot of games, unless maybe like, because I mean, for me as a player, no one in my house really wants to play. You know, like, but it like, I don't know, maybe. It's a whole thing about that human interaction though, I guess. I don't know, like, I love to play video games with friends, but it's impossible to have fun with friends when you're just going in and shooting shit up, and it's like you're not actually experiencing what the game has to offer. You're not testing the waters with the game.
Party with your friends and just bullshitting.
You're getting shit done. You're getting shit done, you're not. Like, if I played the whole Witcher campaign with friends, it'd be done probably in a day. And I would have never experienced all the crazy shit, you know?
Yeah, it's just like whenever you sit, all these gamers now that just don't even play games anymore, they just really so much use games as like a social media or a social network, and they sit in a party with their friends from school or from their day-to-day lives, and they like are just... Sound design is a big part of a game. You miss out on that, and you miss out on something that somebody put years of
you
their
miss
life
out on the
into
sound, you miss out on, like, there's some games I like the multiplayer, like Minecraft. I think that's a fucking extraordinary multiplayer and how it works, you know? Like I think Portal 2 is the greatest multiplayer co-op of all time, in my opinion, because in Portal 2 Like,
Zombies on Black Ops was pretty good. Black Ops 2.
yeah, because it's like it had where you need like where
Had a
multiplayer made it
story.
interesting. It didn't like a lot of times what the problem is about multiplayer is that the story, like, okay, so like there's nothing really, like, you don't need the, like, there's no co-op essence, there's no, I mean, I kind of understand it too for some games, like if you play Borderlands, but it's like the like whenever I play by myself I fuck around. Whenever I play with other players I get shit done. You see, it's, I don't know, maybe it's just me wanting, like, that's the whole reason why I wanted multiplayer in the first place, but I've steered so far away from that. I don't understand why, and I feel like it's almost the game telling you not to experience the game, to just grind and get shit done. Like, even, I don't know, sometimes it's nice, but I don't know. And then sometimes it's just like game I'm playing, you know, it's like it's not really, it doesn't interest me, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's just some fucking, I don't know, but a lot of games just lack that co-op essence of why you have somebody with you, you know?
Yeah.
Or not even that, like that fuck around essence, like GTA, like online, like what do people do? They just go around fucking killing each other, yeah, players literally, bro, there's a whole try-hard community where there's 3 spots, there's city, base, there's RNG, which is run and gun, and that is like exactly like a Call of Duty, and it feels like you're playing Call of Duty, and when you really get into that try-hard community shit, it's like, holy shit, like, this is how it, but
one of the most dynamic, like,
but like, what about the older GTAs? Like, what made GTA fucking around and having fun? It was never, oh, turn this bitch into a Call of Duty. Like, it was always just fucking around and having fun, blowing people up, fucking with physics. Like, those are some of my favorite games, is games where there's physics involved, because, but they're not made anymore. I haven't seen a physics game. Maybe they are, and I just haven't been looking, but like, I remember when I was a kid, like, GTA 5 had fucking crazy, or not 5, fucking 4 had some crazy ass physics that you could just fuck with. You know?
The funnest thing to do in GTA 4 was push people downstairs.
Yeah, like ragdolls, like all that shit is fun. Like Saints Row 4, great game, and I fucking love the multiplayer, because the multiplayer was almost telling you to fuck around. It was almost telling you, you know?
Yeah, there's not a lot of games where they just throw you and a buddy into a world anymore and like do what they do with, like, Crackdown Keys to the City mode was great for that. It was just like your 2 super powered cops that could jump over skyscrapers and throw buses into the sun.
Like, imagine, like, Crackdown is the game where you can almost destroy everything, right? Like, you can destroy whole buildings.
Crackdown 3 was supposed to be, but it's one of the biggest dumpster fires of this generation. I think it didn't pan out at all.
Probably because they didn't even have the...
Crackdown was basically just like it was made by some of the original developers of the first Grand Theft Auto, or I think Grand Theft Auto 3. It was basically just a game set in a dystopian Pacific City, ruled and commanded over by 3 gangs that this innocuous organization known as the Agency has now stepped in to take the reins and take control to try to pacify and sanitize the gangs running amok over the city.
Yeah, because... So kind of like...
Do things through driving, agility, shooting.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Crackdown is one of the most underrated games. Crackdown is really all that it was, because Crackdown 2 is just the same game almost 4 years later, and they basically use the same map, just
Just
copy and paste
improve
areas to make it look
stuff.
older, and it was basically just Crackdown 2.0. So really, the only and then Crackdown 3 was absolute garbage. But so really, the only real Crackdown is like Crackdown. Like that game is a cult classic, one of the best games on the 360. And the only reason anybody ever bought it was to get access to the Halo 3 beta. And then it turned out that it was a really good game.
Oh wow. The Halo 3 beta, holy shit. That just proves how old. I remember when Halo fucking 3, I think, just came out. Damn, that almost makes me feel old. I'm fucking, god damn.
Halo was a phenomenon.
Like,
Something that Destiny will never ever reach the stratospheric levels of hype. No game will. That Halo was at.
I feel like what makes you feel old is what you forget. So like if you forget when something like if you can remember when everybody was hyped up, like if something just came out, like when Destiny 1 came out, I remember the crazy hype behind it, the crazy shit they said they were gonna add, and then you played it, and then it's like, where was all this at?
Articles talking about how that game is going to be a space epic, the scope along the lines of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
Yep, and then when it came out, where was all, yeah. And then when it came out, what happened? Where was all the content? Where was everything they promised? Nowhere to be seen. Maybe there will be like
later on they sold it to everybody in installments through Destiny 1 and 2 and the DLCs but it was never going to be what it was when Joseph Staten, the lead designer, left. That game, that story resides in their minds, and we'll never know what it was.
The true story of Destiny. Oh man, I almost sometimes wish that it was what people expected. It was what, you know? Like imagine.
You can tell that if that game was what they said it was going to be, the potential for it to be one of the biggest, it would have been the Halo. I have no doubts that it would have been, we'd still be talking about it, we'd still be playing it, it would have been a juggernaut, it would have been the Halo of this generation. And if Microsoft had not sold it, they would have had a killer IP. But that's another thing entirely with Microsoft in there.
And then
lazy output this generation.
Yep, and then No Man's Sky. And then No Man's Sky did that too.
No Man's Sky gamers just basically showed that it's okay, you can legitimately commit fraud against us and we won't do shit.
Yep.
And anybody that still complains about it, we'll just tell them, like, get off your high horse, man. Get out of your feelings. It's like, the game is basically what they promise now. It's like, yeah, because rubes like me were convinced by the sentiments that people like me had towards indie developers to support something that was like, oh, these guys only claimed the fame before this. Is Joe Danger? Yeah, I can believe that they're going to make everything in the heavens and the earth and make a full-form simulation of this shit. No.
Yeah, nope. I mean, for what they, like, the first 8 hours, 11 hours is kind of what they said, you know? But it's just what they were promising and what actually happened and what...
The game is all that and more now, and there's a whole multiplayer community, because for the people that didn't leave, they actually ended up finding portals that the naysayers said didn't exist, and they found a portal to what basically became a galactic hub. So it's like this organic, like, origin of the multiplayer community where, like, the other players stumbled upon the portals in space-time on the planets in the ruins, and then basically ended up with their own tower, with their own hub area that they created and formed. Which, that sounds pretty cool. That would have been something to be a part of, but fuck them. They disenfranchised and completely disenchanted any people like me when it was like $60 and we sold you a broken alpha, if that.
Yeah. No, and it's like...
I could download it. I could play it again. I still have No Man's Sky in my game stack, but why would I waste my time ever going back to that?
Why would you waste your money or time or just... Because time is
so
a very important investment that I feel like a lot of people don't see it as an investment as. But I feel like the three biggest investments are time, money, and fuck, I'm forgetting what the last one is, but time and money for sure. Like, your time is very valuable because you don't have a lot of it. Like, in a long-term sense, 100 years. Let's say your life is 100 years long, which is probably going to be shorter. That is not a lot of time. Because years will go by so fast. Before you know it, you'll be, as slow as it may seem right now, as slow as it may, as slow as time seems, you know? There will be a day that you die. And are you gonna die knowing that you wasted all this time not doing anything, not experiencing anything?
Well, that's what it always comes back to with video games. People are just like, it's a big waste of time. But if you look at everything, everything is
A waste of
ephemeral.
time?
Everything is just sand slipping through your fingers. No matter how many books you read, no matter how many movies you watch, no matter how many sporting events you attend, no matter how many summers you have, or Christmases, or Halloweens, or it's all just slipping away. It's all just, we're just dust in the wind, as they say. So it's like, why would you let anybody waste any of your precious time trying to get you to to second guess something that's like, brings you joy in a finite, chaotic universe that is all coming to an end, and everyone around you is going to meet theirs.
Yeah. And it's very,
Everything is a waste of time. I know video games are a waste of time. The difference between me and other people is that I can admit that, and I still have no problem putting years and tons and tons of time of my life into games because it's an art form that I adore. And really,
yeah,
all
like,
I'm
people are gonna like what they
all
like.
they're doing when they're not doing anything is
The
just
same
working.
shit. Oh, well, I mean, everybody just puts time into a useless, art form anyways, if you think about
Fantasy
it.
football, stamp collecting, acting, people that write, people that like to watch movies and they love and adore and indulge in every film that there is.
That's all the same, it's wasting time. It's just how you look at it. You look at it from different perspectives. See, everybody just looks at it from their perspective and says, "Oh, this is this," you know? But they never look at other perspectives. They never look at the whole prism. They only look at half of it or a quarter of it, depending. If you know what I mean.
Everybody's standing around telling everybody else, you're doing it wrong. Well, that's pretty much the internet.
But that's because they know how to do it better. There's always someone that knows how to do it better. There's always someone that knows the tricks. There's always someone that knows the... I mean, like, I'm like that. Like, if I know something that's gonna make you be able to do it more efficiently, I'm gonna tell you. But I'm just telling you, you know? Like, I'm not making you, I'm not forcing you. I'm just gonna suggest it. Because it's like, because I understand you can't waste your time, you know? Like, not everybody has that time. And even if you do have that time, you shouldn't, just because you have that time, doesn't really mean, like, you should be trying to figure out your life, you know? You should be trying to figure out what's the next move, what's next on the, but, you know, like, strategic life. Have it, play, life is a game, play life like a game, play it strategic, like, if life is a game, then play life like a game, you know? As weird as that sounds to maybe some of you, but, it's very light, like, if life, you know, I'm not, I don't know, man. But yeah, no, like, like, you can't have time, because you gotta go to the next thing eventually. Like, you can't just play a video game forever. You know?
Life is a game that you're not gonna beat. You are going to eventually die, no matter how good you are.
And then who knows what happens after that? Maybe that's when the game really begins. Who knows? Maybe that's when the game ends.
Maybe we just reincarnate into another game. You forget all about it. Maybe we've already done it a million times.
Billions
and
of
this is what it
times.
feels like is that you'll never truly ever have that sense of, have I been here before?
Yeah. I have that sense all the time where I'm just like, every day I'm like, have I lived this before, you know? Like, and I'm talking about even before I even was thinking about that shit. Like, I'll have like
But in the end, that's all it'll
flashbacks.
ever be. You'll feel as if you have only ever been Jacques, and you've been a lumberjack since you were a boy, and you live outside the regions of France sometime in like the 1700s or whatever, and it just feels like, even if you feel that you're like, have I done anything else? It's like all you're really ever going to feel at that moment is that it doesn't really matter. You're a jock, you're a lumberjack, you're living out your life. You're going to die. Winter's coming, so you probably should prepare. We'll never have that true, like, where if we've been caught up in this forever, and we are always going to be caught up in it, reincarnating and spawning and respawning in different games and different amalgamations all across the totality, then you ever wonder, like, who becomes you after you're gone? If in that sense, if in theory, if it was like that, how would you never, you'll never ever have the moment where you're like, so I've been here for millennia, or I've been,
And what
you're just
about
never gonna feel like, I'm this guy, but I guess I kind of feel like it was that, but I really don't believe that could even be a thing, so I'm gonna die. That's how foolproof it is, that it's like, you'll never know. I don't even think that whatever does this, because I think you have to be pretty thick to believe there's nothing out there, whether you're an atheist or an agnostic or an evangelical, whatever type of religion you are. I think there's something out there, and I think we can never truly understand it. I don't think we can comprehend what a god is or what that is, but I think it's out there.
we know the word God, but we don't know what it does. God may just
God is
be
other
a
people.
someone.
God is the
God.
consequences of other people.
God may just be, for all we know, some guy that just wants to see us fight it out in a war. Who knows? Like, who hates, like, he might just be someone that,
Could just be some mean little kid with a controller like, I can do that in this game?
fucking rape him, you know? Fucking, oh, I can rape in this game? Fucking do it. And really never cares about the consequence because he doesn't feel like he's actually playing with lives. That's how I like to play video games now. I like to feel, like, at least with games where there is dynamic consequence, I like to feel like I'm really the god of this universe. Like if I can do it, why would I do it if that's just gonna ruin people's lives? But you know, I get some times where I'm like, I could do that, you know, like I really like to feel like there should be, like, imagine in Warframe if there was like like you took out the fucking Grineer faction, the whole faction. There's none, like, they're like nearly an extinct faction, and then like another faction like takes over, right? So like all of the mission, and they're like even more evil and sinister, and then you gotta work with the Grineer to take them out because they're strong, you know? Like, I don't know, that'd be interesting.
You have to hunt down their remnants across the galaxy and sort of form a ragtag rebellion against this new force.
Yeah, like, you have to, or like,
But again, these things require, when I start thinking about the games that I want, it's like these are never going to be a thing anymore, especially in the mainstream, because this requires them to spend hours upon man-hours of actual coding and development of
when they could
content that
just,
some players probably never are going to fucking see or even bother to play through, because most players don't care anymore about single player.
yeah, I used to be like that, but I don't know. I feel like Witcher's changed the way I play video games forever. Like, cause I feel like that's the way you're supposed. Like, they teach you the way that you're supposed to play video games. Like, I truly believe there's a way you're supposed to play them now. You know? Like, you're
Yeah, it's like
supposed.
you're missing out on the experience of something like The Witcher 3 if you're just sitting there in a party with your friends and talking to them and like not immersing
The true
yourself in the work
immersion.
of art and truly feeling like supplanted in a place. In a
Like, I
time.
just fucking killed that man and I'm never gonna see him again, you know? Like, or, like, cause in Warframe, how many people do you kill? Like, if you kill a boss, and you kill them over and over again, it gets to the point where you get desensitized. It's like, holy shit, I'm fucking.
It's that instance of that you were only like the Jackal. You were only really in the story of Warframe. You encounter the Jackal. It is a piece of military equipment that the Grineer have, and you fight it, and it was like a tough fight. And in the anime, or in a show, or in Warframe, like the comic, or whatever it was, as a procedurally scripted type of event, a narrative, it would just be like, wow, that was a tough fight. We nearly died, guys. We'll always remember that. We'll harken back to that as like a memory. But yeah, the more and more you do things in a game like that, where you're like
If that was like,
it
alright,
becomes
so
a slot
if,
machine.
like, if Warframe was like goddamn, like, if I didn't kill the Jackal a million times and I killed him once and it was that tough battle, you know, like, it'd be more interesting to me, like, the whole Vor
remember
quest,
the Jackal.
like, the whole Vor quest, you know, like, and then you kill him
Yeah.
again, he revives, like, that's in the story, that is storyline, you know, like, it's very, like, it's cool, but it's like, if it was story, you'd never see him again. You'd never see that thing again.
Yeah, and then you really would feel like, but I mean, again, that can't work in a MMO where everybody is doing the same thing that you are doing and have done. But yeah, it would really feel like much more consequence of like, Vor's dead and he's not coming back.
Yeah, and it's like, maybe Vor, like, you know? Or like, what if Vor, like, let's say this was a story. What if Vor, like, you had the choice to make, keep, like you could have just said, like, fuck that, like, just do your own thing or some shit. Or Vor could, you know, like, Vor still alive today, probably conquering some planet, or like, you could work for Vor, like, he takes you over. Imagine if that was in the story. Like,
Again, this could have been more of a thing if like, a decade ago if Warframe had been made as an actual console game, it would just be a game with more actual open-ended gameplay and narrative and things to like, because in the end all you really can do, the 15 minutes of the 15-minute loop of Warframe amounts to Fashion Frame, and all you're really doing is you pick one frame that you really love and you really get into, you level them up, you complete everything for them, get the weapons you want, you get the accessories you want, you basically make your ultimate little action figure. And then once the loop of gameplay is over of upgrading your character, there's really not much more contextually to do in the universe as like somewhere to go and have a conversation with someone in like a bar on some crazy city where the Corpus are outside of this.
yeah, like
Mining
like,
area,
imagine
or
if there
there's
was
nowhere to
like
go and-
missions where you had to go in like to cities and you could fuck around with like the underworlds of cities in Warframe. Oh my fucking god, would I have fucking loved to see that shit? That would have fucking made Warframe, you know, like, imagine going into some Corpus city, you know? Like, I guess they kind of did it with Fortuna, you know?
Yeah.
That's about as close as you can get to it. But, like, what if you were really, like, you had the choice to go,
Yeah, like you
like,
can wander the streets and wander into like a Corpus cafe and like read the
and they're
menu
like,
and then...
they like, fucking, they see you as a Warframe, almost like how they see a Witcher, and they're like, fuck you. Like, you take all of our money, cause all a Warframe really is like a Witcher.
mercenary.
Mercenary for hire.
Sargus Rock always had a point every time you killed him over and over for fucking Orkin cells. He's like, are you just mercenaries fighting for scraps? Like, it's like, he's got a fucking point. They talk about, he's like, where's this so-called Tenno honor? It's like, yeah, he's kind of got a point because they talk about like we fought with honor. It's like, bitch, you fucking ran up on them and shot them in the face with you all shot them in the face with a shotgun and then sliced their corpse into confetti. How the fuck is that honor, you psychotic little?
No, like you just cut his fucking body into half, and you want to say it, and like
you're fucking running around summoning like demons and bringing fallen comrades back from the dead so they can murder their friends, and Nova's jumping out of slip space to fucking shoot your testicles off, and then the Lotus is always like, they haven't detected you. It's like, you know what, bitch? Like after a while you kind of have to suspend disbelief that you're like, this is a war, I give a fuck. It's like, you know, as the cognitive dissonance, as the player, it's like, all I give a fuck is that I'm gonna look badass, and I'm looking even better, and getting weapons, and I got stuff. I give a fuck about the actual, like, if you really think of what Warframe was when it began and what it is now, the story, as cool as the story is, and I love this, I love Warframe, and I love.
Well, the story only works now
but it
is
really
if you
doesn't really make much sense from the very, like, when you really think about how it began, is that we were just the frames, and then it was that. It's like, it is interesting and it is deep, but I mean, they did tack that on whenever you come to realize, like, you look at what Warframe was all those years ago when it first began. It was just a free-to-play game with a really crazy art style, and you had to buy everything. And then, like, a year after that, it updated, but then they added story and stuff, and it was like, for a story that is just added on, it really is amazing, and it does work, and it's very interesting, but it's like, if you get too much into it, you're like, why do we have fat
and
asses?
this and
Why?
if you play from the beginning, the story doesn't work. Like if you played from day.
I've helped enough people play Warframe and get into it with how many people I like to like. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing anything. I can help you get into it. So you go back and you start replaying missions you haven't seen in years, and you start to arrange everything in your head because it's no
and
longer
the
just
story
a bunch of
doesn't
random
work.
shit, you know? Yeah, and you're like, what the fuck? Like when you really actually know
Like
what they're talking about and who they're talking about and what's going on.
Like
and,
if I
what
played
they-
the whole story like from the beginning, like if I was a new player now, I'd probably have better time with it because it's like holy shit, fucking like oh the story works, but for me now it doesn't really work because it's like I've been waiting so long for this like expansion.
Yeah, after a while, it kind of just like the detriment of it being a free to play game and not feeling like a game like Skyrim that you can get fucking lost in.
It's the
It just
same
kinda-
with
after a
like
while, you're
GTA
like, I'm
Online, like
forever-
you
yeah,
like you start like
everything.
the way they started it off was just you could just do like missions and like death matches and you were a thug for hire that worked like the first like few missions if you really played like it had a story if you think about it. You start off as a
Oh,
thug
yeah,
for hire
being
selling
there
drugs
from the very beginning
on
was
the
one of the
online.
coolest experiences this entire generation because it was like the evolution of the Grand Theft Auto story formula of just being a 2-bit nobody gangster running around
Yeah.
doing coke deals, killing people with an Uzi, trying to rise through the ranks of the underground,
And
and then
then-
going from like each era of Grand Theft Auto as it went from
But the
underground
story doesn't even work
crime.
anymore because now
Yeah.
every player can just go straight to heist and being some badass.
Yeah, and then you're not gonna. Good luck having the experience we had of like going from giving Gerald the coke and then showing up with your Uzi and running around on the street like get out of the fucking car.
Like, you
So,
gotta- yeah,
being a
you-
kingpin, now it's like nobody's even gonna help
Everybody-
you because that's old content. Gamers are fickle little bitches, and where they're like, no, fuck you, got mine. Like I don't care if you just got this game for your birthday because your parents were poorer than mine and you didn't get the PS4 back in 2016 or 15. You got it just now in 2020. Everybody you're gonna join with, it's like, good luck getting anybody to fucking let you experience the Fleeca heist or the Pacific Standard.
They'll just
job
bring
or
you
any of
straight.
that
No,
shit.
they'll just bring
how
you
it's
to the
supposed to be.
highest heist.
Yeah,
They'll just bring
yeah.
you to the end of the game, basically. And like I don't like I kind of understand it more now, at least, because I understand the point of going straight to the end game. But like after playing The Witch, like that used to be how I play. I go
but
straight to the
imagine,
end.
like, if you just bought The Witcher and you got on and it happened to be an online game,
Yeah.
and right after the fucking tutorial in Kaer Morhen,
Already
you
on.
just get jumped into a fucking. You're fighting the final boss, and these players are like, catch up, faggot, catch up, get the fucking. Like, and
Like
they're
yeah,
in the
just to
chat, like,
get.
dude, I need fucking like they're like talking about stuff you have no idea what's going on, and they're just like like that was my thing that I had to get over Warframe. Was it was the first ever game that I was like, if you want to get into this, if you want to really like not be left behind, because early on I joined a clan and it went from like being a game that, because the way I played games was like, I like to do this stuff, I like to be the guy, I like to have the experience. Warframe was like, if you want to fucking have anything, get any loot, get any chassis, any neuroptics, any type of drop from this game, you just need to go with these guys who are gods, and you need to just follow them. And I had to really get over that because I was like, I'm not doing anything. What the fuck is happening? Like, you fucking join the thing and it's like, this is the Jackal. And while you're involved in the lore and you're running down these hallways and these, like, because I'll admit, man, when I first downloaded Warframe, the coolest thing about it was it just felt like jumping into an alien universe, running through these corridors and hallways, and like, who the fuck are those guys? I don't know, but they're shooting at you, and you're like just sprinting around.
You gotta shoot back.
Just in this crazy unknown world. And now it doesn't feel like that so much anymore because we've done it so much, and the formula and the repetitive nature of things sets in, as is the same with all games. But it was just so interesting to have that experience of like, wherever you went, you're like, who are these people? What the fuck am I doing here? I'm running around. But it was like, as you were running around, Lotus was like giving you exposition and lore, and you're so immersed, but by the time you get to the room where you're supposed to be, and you're like, this is the Jackal, and she tells you all about it, and you get there, and it's a fucking corpse, and everybody's just running around it with like prime armor on. Before you know the difference between what a Warframe, what a prime is, what even, like the art style of the game was so unique that you're just like, what the fuck? What are you people? And you have no idea what the fuck is going on, and you just have to follow these aliens.
You have to. You gotta follow the aliens.
Yeah, and that's the thing with MMOs is like, you're not gonna have the experience on your own if you don't want to be left behind.
Yeah.
Like Warframe is like, and
Very
that's
much,
why
yeah.
I'm hesitant to do anything with the Railjack, because it's like, I built the fucking thing, I bought it, I fucking put so much into it as far as how long it took to build it through December. I don't just want it to be like, oh, join this mission 8, or look at this, and you can do this. It's like, I want to organically experience what it added to the game, but it's like, I already feel like I've not done enough of it, and it's been left behind, so it's like...
Hey, I haven't done shit with that, so if you're down, I'm down to fully experience that shit, because I've only done, I've only done 2 missions on that thing, so...
And again, there's so much, like, every game has so much content that it's just like, man, I miss the days when I could only afford, like, it must be kind of, I mean, it must suck for some of you younger viewers that all you have is a game you got maybe 2 years ago on your birthday or like last Christmas or whatever, but like, you really are lucky because you don't want to have where you can have access to
too many games, because once you do have that,
Switch to Xbox One, it can become a job, and you don't want this hobby, if you love it, to become a job. But it's like, there's so much shit out that it's like, I'm still playing fucking Breath of the Wild. I still haven't beat it because this game is gigantic. If anybody rushed through this game in a week, you didn't even do the people that designed this masterpiece service. Because it is gigantic. I'm still finding stuff in this game that I didn't even know was in this game, like 3 years later, replaying it.
yeah, like, I don't know, it's, once you really, like, that was the other
But
thing
there's
I
so
liked
much
about,
content. And how do you get into content, you know what I mean? You don't just turn it on and then, boom, check out the game, beat the game, like...
it's
to
not like
experience the game,
movies.
you gotta, yeah, you can't just beat the game. So it's like, you get to this problem of like, you have so many fucking games that you can't even download the games that are now coming out, like Wander Song and Concrete Genie and some of the, like, Dragon Ball Z Kakarot. Like, I am genuinely interested in those games, but I don't want to buy them because I would just not end up giving them the time they deserve. Because it's like, it becomes like, you can't just check them off your list, like, boom, beat it, like, and then you get to them, because, like, how do you really have the experience of something like Breath of the Wild? Like, if you haven't played it, Ben, it is a gargantuan, like, behemoth of a game. Like, there is so much. Every region you enter in this game, there is shields, swords, armor, customization items, like vanity items. Like, it is basically the kingdom of Hyrule in the bite-sized little top-down view that I remember of the games that I grew up with playing. But now it's like you're actually in that fucking kingdom, ages after it's fallen and the wild has taken back everything and overgrown it. That's Breath of the Wild. And it really does feel like this is an epic realm. Like, one of the biggest game maps I think that came out this entire generation. A lot of people give Breath of the Wild shit because they say it's just a huge, empty, lifeless walking simulator. I really don't agree with that at all. Like, I have a lot of gripes with the game, but that is not one of them. But again, it's like something like Breath of the Wild. How do you experience that other than to delve into it and give it the time it deserves? But then you're like, this has been out since 2017 and I still haven't beat this bitch.
Yeah.
And then every other game is trying to get you to play them. And again, it's like all the content in all the different games and all the shit, like all the stuff you can unlock in Grand Theft Auto that I fell behind way a long time ago, like the stuff you guys are doing now with casino heists and flying cars and jetpacks. But it's like, if I got on, it wouldn't even be like I'm really experiencing it anymore because I don't live and eat and breathe that game anymore. My brain doesn't share any mind share of that game anymore. You know what I mean? It's like I can't even access or utilize the content because I don't live in that world anymore. It would just be like I get on and I'm like, oh, I flew around a flying car or I tried to do this heist. Like, you know what I mean? It's like when all these games become so varied and so vast, it's almost a curse unto itself because
there's too much to do.
I can't give a fuck about all this shit. And in order to experience a game, in order to really feel that you had the experience with that content,
you have to give it your full attention.
Yeah, you have to want to be like, man, I can't wait. Like, it's like when you can't wait to play a game when you're at school and all you can think about is that game, or all you can think about when you're at work is that game. It's
and
like,
that's the other thing,
really
like, I don't even hype up games anymore, cause like music, I don't even, cause literally the one album that everyone hyped out came out and it's ass. It's not even a good album. Look, maybe
dude,
some people won't agree with me because it's decent, but Eternal Take the Uzi Drug.
I finally got around to watching it, and I know it's just the first half, but my god, they are killing Rick and Morty. It is so fucking SJW now. It's just, it's Dan Harmon the entire time telling you, fuck you, kill yourself. If you think Rick and Morty's for you, it's not. Fucking kill yourself.
Really? I've only seen the first episode of Rick.
From the very beginning, Rick and Morty was always like the thing of like, look, we're gonna show you buttholes and testicles, and you're gonna pay us for the privilege. So if you think we're not mocking you, you're one of the stupid people. But it never was quite as SJW and I mean, from season 3 is when the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty are what people love. When people talk about classic Rick and Morty, when people, the real diehard fans that love the hard sci-fi and the dark nature of what that show was. Watching an alcoholic madman abuse a young boy, with like subtly you realize that like they do care about each other and like their family does. It just gets so, from season 3 onward is when Dan Harmon was like, oh fuck Gamergate and fuck the alt-right and fuck all you like Trump voting deplorable faggots who watch my show. I'm gonna make my show say fuck you at every turn, and we're gonna hire a bunch of feminist female writers. Like, the first 2 seasons of Rick and Morty, and I think especially the first one, is written by all men. Now the show is mostly written by female writers, leftist feminist writers, and it shows. It really is starting to show. The show now feels more like fucking Family Guy or South Park rather than Rick and Morty. Like, there's only 4 new episodes out, and I've watched them all so far.
I've been watching some of the older episodes of South Park, and those are some of the best episodes. Like there was one episode in particular.
Late night thing on Adult Swim to a cultural fucking phenomenon.
Yeah, like so they didn't have a choice.
Perverted by the yuppies.
They probably didn't have a choice. That's why people don't like when things go mainstream, because why would you want something to...
No matter what, you realize that anything hits the heights of elation and euphoria that any medium, any higher art can, and then it's going to go downhill immediately after. It was almost like I felt it in my bones after GTA 5 had finally come out on the next-gen systems. Something was just like, this is it. Like, this is what Sam and Dan, whenever they thought of the formula and the concept for Grand Theft Auto, here we are years later, and it is finally like, this is the game they always wanted to make. And that was it. It was it's never gonna get any better than that. It's not gonna be the same with them gone. And even before that was going on, I just felt it in my bones when I was playing GTA. I was like, it's not gonna we're not gonna be playing. I'm not gonna be playing Grand Theft Auto 10 one day and like, man, they just keep knocking it out of the park. Those Hauser brothers. I even knew in my heart of hearts then that it was like, this is gonna end, and it has. Speaking of end, how long have we been going now?
Let me look. Yeah. We've probably been going for, I'd say an hour maybe. An hour probably. An hour is probably good, to be honest. Ooh, look, hold up. Around an hour, so like an average time. We've never gone above an hour, but yeah. Why, you need to...
More.
Huh?
No, I don't need to go anywhere, I was just wondering.
Oh yeah, no, we've been going for around an hour. Yeah, no,
Generation more than anything has taught me that all good things must come to an end. I mean, Destiny
Yeah.
was the beginning of the end. It was the first nail in the coffin. And
yeah.
then so many things after that, like No Man's Sky.
The calm
was-
before the storm.
No Man's Sky was the beginning of my end, like really falling out with AAA and like being absolutely done with this shit. Like almost being done with video games in general, but then inside was like when I was asking myself after No Man's Sky, why do I even do this shit? Inside was like the answer. One of the most phenomenal indie games this entire generation, Inside. Whether or not people want to say it's an allegory for society, I think that cheapens the entire experience. It's much like what Tolkien said, I despise allegory, and I love him for that, because allegory is just taking everything you just experienced and throwing it all out just to be like, no, this is what it meant. Never mind the fact that you were running through ancient, like, dilapidated government facilities that look like they would dwarf even the most current USSR missile facility.
Yeah.
People just want to say like, no man, it's a big metaphor for life. It's like, but what the, like, it'd almost be like saying like your life is a metaphor for your life. It's like, no, your life is your life and you're doing it every day, you're living it every day. You can't just throw out the baby with the bathwater and be like, it's something deeper. It's like every indie game does that, and a lot of indie games, and I've played enough of them, they do that and it pisses me off where they're like, no, this wasn't about anything. This was just a metaphor for what we're actually talking about. It's like, so I wasn't on a ghost train to nowhere running after my little brother through each train car as we're on some like Alice in Wonderland meets Eyes Wide Shut shit. It's like, no, it was just about your dead little brother and this is all just a metaphor and this is all the afterlife, and you're like, gay.
Yeah. I agree with that.
And with that, we'll probably wrap this one.
Yep. Alright, thank you anyone that that joined the live today. I don't know. We will see when our next one will come out, but yeah, we'll definitely see. I hope that everyone is having a good day, and yeah, keep living life out here, and yeah, hope all y'all don't go to the dark side. I don't know, I'm just being dumb. Yeah, don't die. Even though you will, fuckers.